Welcome to the Winbert Digital Inclusion Program. Effective communication is one of the foundations of successful project management. Every project involves people exchanging information, making decisions, sharing expectations, reporting progress, and addressing challenges. Poor communication can lead to misunderstandings, delays, conflicts, cost overruns, and project failure, while clear and timely communication promotes collaboration, accountability, and informed decision-making. This course, Project Management Foundations, Communication, introduces the fundamental principles and practices of project communication. It explores how project managers can identify communication needs, select appropriate communication methods, engage stakeholders effectively, and ensure that relevant information reaches the right people at the right time. In this course, you will learn how communication contributes to trust, teamwork, transparency, and overall project performance. By the end of this course, you should be able to 1. Explain the importance of effective communication in project management. 2. Identify the key elements and principles of effective project communication. 3. Distinguish between different communication methods and channels used in projects. 4. Identify the communication needs of project stakeholders and team members. 5. Develop clear, timely, relevant, and audience-appropriate project messages. 6. Recognize common communication barriers and strategies for overcoming them. 7. Apply effective listening, feedback, and interpersonal communication skills. 8. Explain the role of the project manager in facilitating effective communication. 9. Select appropriate communication approaches for different project situations. 10. Demonstrate how effective communication supports collaboration, stakeholder engagement, and successful project delivery. Module 1. The importance of effective communication in project management. Effective communication is one of the most important foundations of successful project management. Projects involve people with different responsibilities, expectations, expertise, and interests, making the continuous exchange of accurate information essential. A project manager may have a well-designed schedule, sufficient funding, and a highly skilled team, but the project can still fail if information is unclear, delayed, misunderstood, or communicated to the wrong people. Communication enables project stakeholders to understand what the project is expected to achieve, who is responsible for each activity, when tasks should be completed, and what resources are available. It also ensures that changes, risks, challenges, and decisions are communicated promptly. For example, if a project manager changes a major deadline but fails to inform the procurement team, suppliers may continue working according to the old schedule, resulting in delays that could have been avoided. Effective communication is particularly important for coordinating project teams. Team members need to understand their roles, responsibilities, priorities, and dependencies. When communication is clear, individuals can coordinate their activities and identify problems before they become serious. Consider a construction project where the electrical team needs to complete its work before the walls are sealed. If the construction supervisor does not communicate the updated electrical schedule, the walls could be closed prematurely, forcing the team to reopen completed sections and increasing both project costs and completion time. Communication also plays a critical role in stakeholder management. Stakeholders need information that is relevant to their interests and responsibilities. Senior management may require high-level reports on progress, budget, and risks, while technical team members may require detailed information about specifications and deliverables. Effective project communication, therefore, involves providing the right information to the right person at the right time and through an appropriate channel. Another important benefit of communication is its ability to build trust and transparency. Stakeholders are more likely to support a project when they understand what is happening and believe that information is being shared honestly. If a project encounters a significant delay, hiding the problem may create a temporary appearance of progress, but can ultimately damage confidence in the project manager. Communicating the problem early allows stakeholders to participate in finding solutions. Poor communication can produce serious consequences, including misunderstandings, duplicated work, conflict, missed deadlines, poor quality deliverables, and stakeholder dissatisfaction. Effective communication, therefore, should not be viewed as simply sending emails or producing reports. It is a continuous management responsibility involving listening, questioning, clarification, feedback, documentation, and appropriate information sharing. Project managers who communicate effectively create an environment where people understand expectations, raise concerns, collaborate effectively, and remain focused on achieving project objectives. Module 2. The key elements and principles of effective project communication. Effective project communication involves more than simply passing information from one person to another. It is a structured process through which project information is created, shared, understood, and used to support decisions and actions. For communication to be effective, project managers must ensure that information is clear, accurate, timely, relevant, complete, and accessible to the intended audience. These principles help prevent misunderstandings and ensure that everyone involved in the project has a common understanding of expectations and priorities. One key element is clarity. Project communication should use language that the recipient can easily understand. Ambiguous instructions can result in different interpretations and inconsistent actions. For example, telling a project team to complete the report as soon as possible does not provide a clear deadline. A better instruction would be, submit the completed report by 3:00 p.m. on Friday. Clear communication reduces uncertainty and makes accountability easier. Accuracy and completeness are equally important. Project information should be factual, reliable, and sufficiently detailed to enable the recipient to act appropriately. If a project manager communicates an incorrect budget figure to the finance team, subsequent financial decisions may be based on inaccurate information. Similarly, providing only part of a project requirement may cause a team to deliver work that does not meet the stakeholders' expectations. Timeliness is another fundamental principle. Information must reach people when they need it, rather than after an important decision or action has already occurred. For example, if a supplier informs the project manager on Monday that materials will arrive 1 week late, delaying communication of this information until Friday could prevent the team from making alternative arrangements. Early communication provides stakeholders with an opportunity to respond effectively. Effective communication should also be relevant and audience-focused. Different stakeholders require different types and levels of information. A project sponsor may need a concise update on budget, risks, milestones, and overall progress, while a technical specialist may require detailed specifications. Providing excessive or irrelevant information can make important messages difficult to identify. Therefore, project managers should consider the recipient's role, knowledge, responsibilities, and information needs. Another essential element is two-way communication. Effective project communication is not simply about sending instructions. It also involves listening, asking questions, receiving feedback, and confirming understanding. For instance, after assigning a complex task, a project manager can ask the team member to explain the expected deliverable in their own words. This can reveal misunderstandings before work begins. Finally, communication should be consistent, respectful, and appropriately documented. Consistency prevents different stakeholders from receiving conflicting information, while respectful communication promotes trust and collaboration. Important decisions, agreements, changes, and approvals should also be documented so they can be referred to later. By applying these principles, project managers create a communication environment that supports teamwork, informed decision-making, accountability, and successful project delivery. Module 3, the different communication methods and channels used in projects. Project communication can take different forms depending on the nature of the information, the people involved, the urgency of the message, and the project environment. Choosing the appropriate communication method and channel is essential because the wrong approach can create confusion, delay decisions, or result in important information being overlooked. A project manager should therefore consider what needs to be communicated, who needs the information, how quickly it is required, and whether a formal record is necessary. One major communication method is verbal communication, which includes face-to-face meetings, telephone calls, virtual meetings, presentations, and informal discussions. Verbal communication is particularly useful when issues are complex, urgent, or require immediate clarification. For example, if a project team discovers a serious technical problem that could affect a major milestone, the project manager may organize an urgent meeting rather than relying entirely on email. This allows team members to explain the problem, ask questions, and agree on a response quickly. Written communication includes emails, project reports, memos, minutes of meetings, proposals, schedules, and formal notices. Written communication is valuable when information needs to be clearly documented or referred to later. For example, after a project sponsor approves a major change to the project scope during a meeting, the project manager may send a written confirmation and update the relevant project documentation. This creates a record of the decision and reduces the possibility of future disagreements. Another important method is visual communication, which involves charts, dashboards, diagrams, graphs, presentations, timelines, and other visual tools. Visual communication can make complicated project information easier to understand. For instance, a project manager can use a Gantt chart to show the relationship between activities, deadlines, and milestones, rather than explaining the entire schedule verbally. Similarly, a dashboard can provide senior management with a quick overview of project progress, budget performance, and major risks. Projects also increasingly rely on digital communication channels such as Microsoft Teams, Zoom, Slack, project management platforms, shared documents, and instant messaging applications. These tools enable geographically dispersed teams to collaborate and exchange information quickly. However, project managers should establish clear rules for their use. For example, an urgent instruction sent through an informal messaging platform may be missed if team members are not expected to monitor that platform continuously. Communication can also be formal or informal. Formal communication follows established procedures and is often used for important decisions, approvals, reports, and stakeholder updates. Informal communication may occur through conversations, quick messages, or brief discussions between colleagues. While informal communication can improve relationships and resolve minor issues quickly, significant decisions should generally be documented through an appropriate formal channel. The choice of communication channel should ultimately depend on the project's communication needs. A project manager should consider urgency, complexity, confidentiality, stakeholder preferences, accessibility, and the need for documentation. Using the right method and channel ensures that information reaches the right people in a form they can understand and act upon. Effective project communication therefore requires not only knowing what to communicate, but also knowing how, when, where, and to whom it should be communicated. Module 4, the communication needs of project stakeholders and team members. Every project involves people who require different types of information to perform their responsibilities effectively. Project stakeholders may include sponsors, clients, senior management, suppliers, regulators, community representatives, and other interested parties, while team members may include project managers, technical specialists, administrators, contractors, and other professionals. Understanding their different communication needs is essential because providing the wrong information, too much information, or insufficient information can affect project performance. The first step is to identify who needs information and why they need it. A project manager should consider each person's role, level of authority, interest in the project, influence over project outcomes, and responsibilities. For example, a project sponsor may be interested in whether the project is meeting its strategic objectives, staying within budget, and managing major risks. A software developer working on the same project may instead need detailed information about technical requirements, deadlines, system specifications, and changes to functionality. Stakeholders also differ in their preferred level and frequency of communication. Senior executives may prefer concise dashboards or periodic reports that highlight milestones, financial performance, risks, and decisions requiring their attention. A client may require regular progress updates and demonstrations, while a project team may need daily or weekly operational discussions. The project manager should therefore avoid using a single communication approach for everyone. Communication should be tailored to the audience while ensuring that critical information remains consistent. Team members need communication that supports coordination and execution. They should understand their responsibilities, deadlines, dependencies, performance expectations, and any changes that may affect their work. For example, in a construction project, the plumbing team needs to know when certain sections of the building will be ready. while the procurement officer needs information about materials and delivery schedules. If these teams do not receive timely information, one team's delay may affect several other activities. Stakeholders may also need different information at different stages of the project. During initiation, stakeholders may focus on objectives, scope, expected benefits, and responsibilities. During execution, they may be more interested in progress, risks, changes, resource requirements, and emerging issues. Near completion, communication may focus on deliverables, acceptance, outstanding issues, handover, and lessons learned. This means communication needs should be reviewed throughout the project rather than determined only at the beginning. A practical way to manage these needs is through a communication plan or stakeholder communication matrix. This can specify the stakeholder, information required, communication frequency, communication method, responsible person, and preferred channel. For example, a project sponsor might receive a monthly executive report, while the project team participates in weekly coordination meetings. Finally, effective communication must consider accessibility, cultural differences, technical knowledge, language, confidentiality, and stakeholder preferences. A highly technical explanation may be appropriate for engineers, but unsuitable for a non-technical client. The project manager's responsibility is to translate information into a form that each audience can understand and use. By identifying and responding to the communication needs of stakeholders and team members, project managers improve collaboration, reduce misunderstandings, strengthen stakeholder relationships, and increase the likelihood of successful project delivery. Module 5: How to develop clear, timely, relevant, and audience-appropriate project messages. Effective project communication depends not only on choosing the right communication channel, but also on developing messages that people can understand and act upon. A project message should communicate its purpose clearly, contain relevant information, reach the intended audience at the appropriate time, and use language suitable for the recipient. Poorly constructed messages can create confusion, encourage incorrect assumptions, and delay important project activities. The first principle is clarity. A clear message should communicate one main purpose and avoid unnecessary jargon, vague expressions, or complicated sentences. For example, instead of telling a team member, "We need to accelerate the deliverable because the project is moving fast," a project manager could say, "Please submit the revised design by 4:00 p.m. Thursday so that the client can review it before Friday's approval meeting." The second message clearly identifies the action, deadline, and reason. Project messages must also be timely. Information should be communicated early enough for the recipient to understand it and take appropriate action. A project manager who discovers that a supplier will deliver materials 5 days late should immediately inform the relevant team members rather than waiting for the next scheduled meeting. Early communication gives the team an opportunity to adjust activities, contact alternative suppliers, or revise the schedule. Another important principle is relevance. A message should contain information that is useful to the intended audience and directly connected to their responsibilities or decisions. Including excessive information can distract recipients from the issue that requires their attention. For example, a project sponsor deciding whether to approve additional funding may need information about the budget gap, cause of the increase, project impact, and available options rather than a detailed technical explanation of every project activity. Messages should also be audience appropriate. Project managers should consider the recipient's knowledge, role, authority, expectations, and communication preferences. A technical team may understand specialist terminology, while a client or senior executive may require simpler explanations. For example, rather than telling a non-technical client that a system has experienced a database synchronization failure, the project manager might explain that the system is experiencing a data transfer problem that is temporarily affecting access to some records. A useful approach is to structure project messages around the purpose, key information, required action, and deadline. Before sending a message, the project manager should ask, what does the recipient need to know? What do they need to do? When must they act? Is there any important context they need? This approach helps prevent incomplete communication. Messages should also maintain a professional and respectful tone, especially when communicating problems or disagreements. A message such as "Your team has failed to complete this task again" may create defensiveness. A more constructive approach is, "The task remains incomplete and is now affecting the testing schedule. Please provide an updated completion date and identify any support required." This communicates the problem while encouraging a solution. Finally, important messages should be reviewed before they are sent. The project manager should check accuracy, clarity, tone, recipients, attachments, deadlines, and confidentiality. By consistently developing messages that are clear, timely, relevant, and appropriate for their audience, project managers improve understanding, accelerate decision-making, reduce errors, and strengthen stakeholder confidence. Module 6. Recognizing common communication barriers and strategies for overcoming them. Communication barriers are factors that prevent project information from being properly sent, received, understood, or acted upon. In project management, these barriers can lead to misunderstandings, delays, conflicts, duplicated work, poor decisions, and failure to meet project objectives. A project manager must therefore be able to recognize common communication barriers early and apply appropriate strategies to overcome them. One common barrier is unclear or ambiguous communication. Messages that contain vague language, incomplete instructions, or undefined expectations can easily be misunderstood. For example, a project manager who tells a team member to complete the task quickly may receive a different result from what was expected because neither the exact deadline nor the required standard was stated. This can be overcome by using clear language and specifying the required action, deadline, expected outcome, and person responsible. Another major barrier is language and cultural differences. Projects often involve people from different backgrounds who may interpret words, gestures, tone, or communication styles differently. In an international project, a team member may agree to a request simply to show politeness, even though they do not fully understand the instruction. Project managers can overcome this barrier by encouraging questions, avoiding unnecessary jargon, using simple language, and confirming understanding through feedback. Poor listening is also a significant communication barrier. Communication is not effective when people focus only on speaking and fail to listen carefully to others. A project manager may overlook an important warning from a technical specialist because they are more focused on completing the meeting agenda. Active listening, asking clarifying questions, and summarizing key points can help ensure that valuable information is properly understood. Another barrier is information overload. Team members and stakeholders may receive so many emails, reports, messages, and notifications that important information becomes difficult to identify. For example, if a project team receives dozens of unnecessary emails every day, an urgent message about a safety issue could be overlooked. This problem can be reduced by communicating only relevant information, using clear subject lines, establishing communication priorities, and selecting appropriate channels for urgent matters. Emotional barriers and interpersonal conflict can also affect project communication. People may become defensive, angry, fearful, or unwilling to share information because of previous disagreements. A team member who fears being blamed for mistakes may hide a problem until it becomes serious. Project managers should promote a respectful and psychologically safe environment where people can raise concerns without unnecessary fear or humiliation. Technology can create additional barriers, particularly in virtual or geographically dispersed teams. Poor internet connections, incompatible software, technical failures, or lack of access to communication tools can interrupt the flow of information. A practical strategy is to provide alternative communication channels and ensure that important information is documented and accessible to relevant team members. Finally, overcoming communication barriers requires continuous effort. Project managers should encourage feedback, confirm understanding, adapt communication to different audiences, and regularly review whether communication methods are working effectively. By recognizing barriers early and responding appropriately, project teams can improve collaboration, reduce misunderstandings, resolve problems more quickly, and increase the likelihood of successful project delivery. Module 7: How to apply effective listening, feedback, and interpersonal communication skills. Effective project communication is not limited to speaking, giving instructions, or sending reports. Successful project managers and team members must also know how to listen carefully, provide constructive feedback, and build positive working relationships. Effective listening, feedback, and interpersonal communication skills improve understanding, strengthen collaboration, reduce conflict, and create an environment where team members feel comfortable contributing to project success. Effective listening involves giving full attention to the speaker and making a genuine effort to understand both the information and the meaning behind the message. Project managers should avoid interrupting unnecessarily, making assumptions, or preparing their response while the other person is still speaking. For example, during a project meeting, a technical specialist may raise concerns about a proposed deadline. Instead of immediately dismissing the concern, the project manager should listen carefully, ask questions, and seek to understand the potential risks. This may reveal an important issue that could prevent a future project failure. A useful listening technique is active listening. This involves paying attention, asking clarifying questions, summarizing important points, and confirming understanding. A project manager might say, "If I understand you correctly, the supplier delay could affect the testing phase unless we find an alternative source. Is that correct?" This approach demonstrates that the speaker has been heard and gives them an opportunity to correct any misunderstanding. Feedback is another important aspect of project communication. Effective feedback should be timely, specific, respectful, and focused on actions or performance rather than personal attacks. For example, instead of telling a team member, "You are careless," a project manager could say, "The report contained several incorrect figures which affected the budget review. Please verify the data before submitting the next version." This approach identifies the issue clearly while encouraging improvement. Feedback should also be a two-way process. Project managers should not only provide feedback but should also be willing to receive it from team members and stakeholders. A team member may have useful suggestions about improving communication processes, meetings, or project workflows. Creating opportunities for people to share honest feedback can help identify problems early and improve overall team performance. Strong interpersonal communication skills are essential for building trust and maintaining positive relationships. These skills include empathy, respect, emotional awareness, appropriate body language, patience, and the ability to communicate professionally during difficult situations. For example, when two team members disagree about how to complete an important task, the project manager should avoid taking sides immediately. Instead, they can listen to both perspectives, identify areas of agreement, and guide the discussion toward a practical solution. Nonverbal communication is also important. Facial expressions, tone of voice, eye contact, and body language can influence how a message is interpreted. A project manager who says, "I value your opinion," while appearing distracted or impatient may communicate the opposite message. Therefore, verbal and nonverbal communication should be consistent. Ultimately, applying effective listening, feedback, and interpersonal communication skills helps project managers create stronger teams and healthier working relationships. When people feel heard, respected, and able to communicate openly, they are more likely to share ideas, report problems early, and collaborate effectively. These skills are therefore essential for resolving issues, managing stakeholders, and achieving successful project outcomes. Module 8. The role of the project manager in facilitating effective communication. The project manager plays a central role in ensuring that communication flows effectively throughout a project. While every stakeholder and team member has a responsibility to communicate appropriately, the project manager is responsible for creating an environment, structure, and process that enables the right information to reach the right people at the right time. Effective communication helps the project manager coordinate activities, manage expectations, resolve issues, and maintain stakeholder confidence. One important responsibility of the project manager is to plan and organize project communication. This involves identifying key stakeholders, understanding their information needs, determining what information should be communicated, and selecting suitable communication methods and channels. For example, a project sponsor may require a monthly summary of progress, budget, and risks, while project team members may need weekly coordination meetings and regular updates about their tasks. By establishing clear communication arrangements, the project manager reduces confusion and ensures that important information is not overlooked. The project manager must also ensure that project expectations and responsibilities are clearly communicated. Team members need to understand what they are expected to do, when tasks should be completed, and how their work contributes to the overall project objectives. For example, if a project manager assigns a team member to prepare a client report, they should clearly communicate the required content, format, deadline, and approval process. Vague instructions can lead to poor quality work and unnecessary delays. Another important role is to facilitate communication among team members and stakeholders. Project managers often act as a communication link between different groups with different interests and levels of technical knowledge. For instance, a software development team may use highly technical language that a client cannot easily understand. The project manager may need to translate technical information into simple language that helps the client understand the project's progress, challenges, and decisions. Project managers are also responsible for encouraging open and honest communication. Team members should feel comfortable reporting risks, mistakes, delays, and concerns without unnecessary fear of blame. Imagine a team member discovers an error that could affect an important project deliverable. If the project's communication environment is hostile, the individual may hide the problem. However, a project manager who encourages openness can ensure that the issue is reported early and addressed before it becomes more serious. Effective project managers also monitor communication and confirm understanding. Sending information does not automatically mean that communication has been successful. The project manager should ask questions, seek feedback, and confirm that recipients understand important messages. For example, after explaining a significant change to the project schedule, the manager may ask affected team members how the change will influence their activities and whether they require additional support. Finally, the project manager must manage communication during disagreements and difficult situations. They should listen to different perspectives, remain professional, clarify misunderstandings, and guide discussions toward solutions. By planning communication, promoting openness, connecting stakeholders, confirming understanding, and resolving communication problems, the project manager creates an environment that supports collaboration, accountability, informed decision-making, and successful project delivery. Module 9, Appropriate Communication Approaches for Different Project Situations. Effective project communication requires more than having good communication skills. It also requires selecting the most appropriate approach for each situation. Different project circumstances require different methods, levels of detail, communication channels, and levels of urgency. A communication approach that works well for a routine project update may be unsuitable for an emergency, a sensitive conflict, or an important executive decision. Project managers must therefore assess the situation before deciding how and when to communicate. For routine project updates, structured and regular communication is often most effective. Weekly team meetings, progress reports, dashboards, and scheduled email updates can help team members and stakeholders remain informed. For example, during a 6-month ICT implementation project, the project manager may organize a weekly meeting where team members report completed activities, upcoming tasks, risks, and challenges. This regular approach promotes coordination and allows problems to be identified early. In urgent situations, communication should be immediate and direct. When an issue threatens project safety, a critical deadline, or a major deliverable, waiting for the next scheduled meeting may cause further damage. For example, if a supplier suddenly reports that essential equipment will not arrive before a major installation date, the project manager may immediately contact affected team members by telephone or an urgent virtual meeting. A written summary can then be sent afterwards to document decisions and agreed actions. Complex or sensitive issues often require interactive communication. Face-to-face meetings or virtual discussions allow participants to ask questions, clarify misunderstandings, and explore possible solutions. For instance, if two departments disagree about responsibility for a delayed activity, sending emails back and forth may increase tension. The project manager may achieve better results by organizing a meeting where both sides can explain their perspectives and agree on responsibilities. Communication with senior management and project sponsors should usually be concise, relevant, and focused on strategic issues. Executives often need information about project performance, major risks, budget status, key milestones, and decisions requiring their attention. For example, rather than sending a project sponsor 50 pages of technical information, the project manager may provide a 2-page executive summary highlighting the most important issues and recommended actions. When communicating technical or detailed information, the project manager should use an approach appropriate for the knowledge of the audience. Technical teams may require detailed specifications, diagrams, and documentation, while non-technical stakeholders may benefit from simple explanations, demonstrations, or visual presentations. Adapting the communication style prevents confusion and improves understanding. During project conflicts or disagreements, the project manager should use respectful, neutral, and solution-focused communication. Emotional or accusatory messages can make conflicts worse. For example, instead of sending an email blaming a team member for a missed deadline, the project manager can discuss the issue privately, understand the cause, and identify the support needed to prevent a recurrence. Ultimately, selecting the right communication approach depends on factors such as urgency, complexity, audience, confidentiality, importance, and the need for documentation. Project managers who adapt their communication to different situations can respond more effectively to challenges, strengthen stakeholder relationships, and support successful project delivery. Module 10. How effective communication supports collaboration, stakeholder engagement, and successful project delivery. Effective communication is a major factor in bringing people together to work towards shared project goals. Projects typically involve individuals and organizations with different responsibilities, interests, skills, and expectations. Without effective communication, these differences can result in misunderstandings, duplication of work, conflict, and poor coordination. However, when information is communicated clearly and consistently, team members and stakeholders can understand the project's objectives and work together more effectively towards successful delivery. Communication strongly supports collaboration by ensuring that team members understand their individual responsibilities and how their work connects with the work of others. For example, in a website development project, the content writer, graphic designer, software developer, and tester must coordinate their activities. If the designer does not communicate changes to the website layout, the developer may continue working with an outdated design. Regular communication and collaboration meetings help team members share updates, identify dependencies, and adjust their activities when necessary. Effective communication also strengthens stakeholder engagement. Stakeholders are more likely to support a project when they receive relevant information and have opportunities to express their views and concerns. A project manager who communicates only when problems occur may create uncertainty and reduce stakeholder confidence. In contrast, regular updates can demonstrate transparency and help stakeholders remain connected to the project. For example, during a community development project, involving community representatives in regular discussions can help the project team understand local concerns and gain support for project activities. Another important benefit is that effective communication improves decision-making and problem-solving. Project teams can make better decisions when accurate and timely information is shared. If a risk is communicated early, stakeholders can assess its potential impact and develop an appropriate response. For instance, if a supplier informs the project manager that essential materials will be delayed, quickly communicating the issue to the procurement and project teams may allow them to identify an alternative supplier before the project schedule is seriously affected. Communication also helps to build trust and accountability. Team members are more likely to trust one another when information is shared honestly and respectfully. Clear communication about responsibilities, deadlines, and expectations also makes it easier to hold individuals accountable for agreed actions. For example, after a project meeting, distributing documented action points with the responsible person and deadline ensures that everyone understands what they are expected to do. Effective communication is particularly valuable when managing project changes. Changes to scope, schedules, budgets, or requirements can affect many stakeholders. Communicating changes promptly helps people understand why the change is necessary and how it will affect their responsibilities. Failure to communicate a major change can result in team members continuing to work according to outdated plans, leading to wasted time and resources. Ultimately, successful project delivery depends greatly on the ability of people to work together, make informed decisions, manage expectations, and respond effectively to challenges. Communication provides the connection between these activities. By promoting collaboration, encouraging stakeholder participation, building trust, improving accountability, and supporting timely decision-making, effective communication significantly increases the likelihood that a project will achieve its objectives and deliver value to its stakeholders. We have now come to the end of this course. Thank you.